So earlier this season, I was praising Jim Benning for having the nerve to demote Sam Gagner when Gagner didn't make the team. And now I'm going to kind of do that same thing with Bergevin later on. So I do a Hextall video this morning, which felt like something that should have happened in the offseason. Alzner kind of feels that way too. He's been a really publicly disliked for his play kind of player since arriving in Montreal. And it's never felt to me like he really fits in with Montreal, or potentially his style of play just isn't working now. The interesting thing with Alzner is, and I pointed this out on the weekend, I thought he played well against Boston. I thought there were some moments in that game where he looked really good. But there's a problem in Montreal. Shea Weber's going to be returning pretty quick here, and they needed to make room for Weber. And the obvious choice to move out of the way would be Alzner. Alzner had only played 8 games this year, had 1 assist in those 8 games. He was never known for offense. I'm not trying to state that he's known for offense, but he hasn't fit in at all. But again, he had played a couple of good games for them, and there was some thinking that maybe that had at least extended his time in Montreal. Nope, he has been placed on waivers, and nobody's going to touch that contract. I would imagine Mark Bergevin's been working the phones trying to find a way to trade out Alzner, but it does show that Bergevin is acknowledging that the signing hasn't worked. See, you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? Like if Bergevin says, I've signed this guy, I'm loyal to this guy, I'm gonna stick by him, and he's gonna work through this, Bergevin could be risking his team's position in the standings, potentially his own job. But if he sends him away, everybody's going to point the finger at Mark Bergevin and say, well, you signed him. This is your fault. There's some cap relief provided by sending him down. It's around $1 million that you get in cap relief by sending him down. But he still makes his full salary, while in Laval, if he clears, and he's probably going to clear. But I feel bad for the guy because I do like Alzner. And I do think that if his contract was about half of what its value is, I don't think you'd have a problem finding somebody to take it. At about $2.5 million, I think somebody would take on Alzner. This is where the July 1st thing comes in. July 1st, everybody goes out and signs, okay, we've had our eye on this defender, this forward, this goaltender. This is going to fix it. This is exactly what we need. And with Alzner, it was weird because he's not an offensive defenseman, and that was kind of what Montreal needed at the time they signed him. So it was a weird signing even then, because it didn't feel like that was something that they necessarily needed in their lineup. It felt like they already had some decent defensive guys, or some guys who aren't necessarily fantastic with the puck kind of guys. So it was weird from the beginning. I do hope that he ends up landing in the NHL somehow. I don't know if Montreal eventually makes a deal where they eat a lot of that salary. Bergevin seems like a decent guy, though. I don't think he's going to just cut him to Laval and forget about him. I think he'll still work on trying to find a deal. And at the deadline, again, if they eat enough salary, you may very well be able to find somebody who says, yeah, Alzner could be exactly what we need for that number 6 spot on the blue line. It'll be very interesting. So for Alzner, this has to be a frustrating turn of events, but there was an article written recently on this because he knew this was coming. He's been sitting in the press box a lot. He had an Ironman streak ended by being sat in the press box. So since that took place, he's known something was coming, and he probably looks at his salary too and says, yeah, nobody's going to want to touch that. So we'll see what happens with him. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about this. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And this is why on July 1st, we all get excited and hyped about contracts, and some of them work out really well, and some of them, it turns out to be a mistake. Might be a bad mix, might just be the game changes, and it doesn't suit the player and their game anymore. But I'd be interested to know your thoughts. Thanks so much for watching.